Welcome, welcome, welcome to my go-to shoe, Faith, Hope, and Love, a journey through loss, live on, strengthen soul. And of course, before we get started, like, subscribe, and share. Touch the notification button so you know when Pauline's coming back. So tonight, I have a really special, special guest.
It's amazing to me the moral courage as I reflect back as a much older, wiser person. The moral courage, the sense of justice that 9 men really had to fight against a whole system of oppression that was then investigated and validated. So when you talk about the essence of manhood and the essence of character, I think moral character and moral clarity is just critical. So I want to thank Christopher's for continuing to be progressive. I want to thank my brothers who I have repented of not having the knowledge, not have been taught or trained in a way to learn how to stand alongside them in a society that kept us and a coach that kept us divided. So I think it's important for every young St. Christopher student, every man, as they grow into their own self-definitions of who and what they are. It's critical for them to have a sense of empathy and moral courage and moral clarity as well. And I know that Bucky will do a tremendous job. He's lived it. He's given his life to that. So I wish I could be there. Unfortunately, I'm going to be on the West Coast, but I know it'll be a great night, and I'm very proud of you, Bucky. And I'm very thankful for St. Christopher's and the Center for Manhood for being as progressive as they are and helping create a generation of men that are going to build a more fair, more just, and a more inclusive society. So it'll be a great night. I hope somebody films it so I get to see it.
Well, family, welcome back to my go-to shoe, Faith, Hope, and Love, a journey through loss, live on, strengthen soul. We are now ready for part 2 of our interview with Clarence Bucky McGill. Listen and be blessed. Thank you. Love y'all.
I said, "Oh, now something is not right here." So,
That's the Honor Society student.
he was from Boston, and they wanted him to take ping pong. So what I suggested to the guys, and they all owe me, I said, "Hey, let the you sign up for those ridiculous courses in pencil. When the coaches sign and to confirm their signature, you erase them and put your courses in pen." So we did that and slipped by them for our first year, which was good. But
wow.
I was a little taken back by that. Also,
Clarence, let me just stop right there. So you all made a decision, which you kind of fostered that. You kind of were the main person to say, okay, don't just write it in pencil, and nobody ever questioned that. And you all erased it, so they didn't check your grades in between time. I guess.
no. And after your freshman year, they really didn't pay attention. But
Okay.
the first 2 semesters of your freshman year, we did that. We erased it and put decent courses where we would matriculate in certain colleges when they, because the university had certain colleges.
Right.
Because I was in the Maxwell School of Citizenship, that college, and then with that, we have attorneys. We all graduated, and they all and a few of them went on to graduate school or law school or whatever. So that was a trick. Another little trick is that they had the medical staff, the head of the medical department at the university for the football team, for the athletic department, was a gynecologist.
For the football team.
For the football team. He knew nothing about really organizing or managing a departmental medical office, but he was a friend of the coach. They played golf, and he was heard saying he hated touching black people.
Oh my gosh. Oh no.
But that was all right because I didn't deal with him anyway. I told myself I would never get hurt because I'm not dealing with that guy.
Oh my gosh.
So, so I understood that. And another scenario was the coaches and the team would have maybe 3 to 4 black players competing for the left defensive end. Instead of splitting them up, have 2 compete for the left and have 2 compete for the right defensive end.
Right.
So it was called stacking, and that was obvious what they were doing there. And another thing was, uh, I guess one of the major pieces, they didn't have any black people working in their athletic department working since 1870. So we wanted a black coach or somebody, to represent
To
us.
represent.
And so those issues, our academic advising, our medical treatment, being fairly assigned based on performance in positions, and the lack of black coaches and black administrators.
So, Clarence, I want to take those like one at a time because you kind of went through them really just about. But I know you were considered change. Jim Brown mentioned he said these young men were change agents for their time, right? That
Yeah.
1969 to 1970, and there were those 4 areas that you just mentioned. You in your kind of as you're talking. But let's just take one at a time. Access to the same academic tutoring made available to their white teammates. So that tells me that if you all had any challenges with any kind of workload or needing tutoring, you would not get the same because first off, they're giving you those other kind of classes. They don't even think you need
Right.
tutoring.
And that was our confrontation. I wanted to make sure that the particular classes that we were registering for would be a part of our matriculating through the particular college that we were signed up for. There's the Newhouse School of Journalism. Most of the people you see on television, on the news, graduated from the Newhouse School of Journalism at Syracuse University. You talk about Bob Costas. You talk about what's my man's name? The golfing, big time names. They all graduated from Syracuse. So that's what we wanted to be assured of, that our advisement was in concert with what we wanted to matriculate in.
Absolutely. Makes absolutely. So that was one of them. The second one you met, which you just mentioned a little bit ago, you wanted better medical care for all team members. So it sounds like
Right.
that what you wanted for whites and blacks, whoever was on the team, you
Right.
wanted everyone to get the proper medical care.
Yeah. He was a poor excuse for a athletic team doctor and athletic team administrator from a medical perspective. He didn't know anything about it, but he was. So we wanted to get better medical treatment for everybody. And it's funny, one of the guys who went on that played with me went on to play for the Baltimore Colts for 15 years, Joe Ehrman. We spoke, maybe a few years ago, and he already knew the guy wasn't any good. So he had his operation done by the medical staff of the Buffalo Bills. And I was mad at him because he didn't tell me. But he said, Bucky, I already knew that. I already knew. But anyway,
And then the third area was which you just mentioned, starting assignments based on merit rather than race. And that's where
right,
you mentioned in reference to having you take ping pong and
right.
basketball classes.
Well, and I'm also talking about starting assignments on the football field
Oh, okay. 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 So
because the old coaches that are alive today know that you cannot play over 2 black players on the field at certain times. They knew if Syracuse University went and played in Alabama in those days, that a black player could not score in Alabama or could cause a riot. They pulled Ernie Davis so he wouldn't score because of that fear. And
So they would say that again. They would fear they
they
wouldn't.
would fear that there'd be a riot if a black player scored in Alabama or Georgia.
Oh wow.
So
Okay.
this was years ago. And a lot of these old coaches know this, but they won't admit to it. That's one thing that really bothers me. But
Even to this day, they don't admit it.
no, they don't admit it. So
Mm.
so they knew and they know that some college sports was under the racial umbrella.
Mm.
So that's why we wanted to have team positions be fairly assigned based on athletic performance and not race.
Okay. Understood. And then the other one, which you also mentioned a bit ago, and the challenge to integrate the coaching staff, which had been all white since 1898. So they never had a
1870, right?
1870. They never had a cultural diverse.
They never had a cultural diverse coaching staff. They've never had a cultural diverse workforce in the athletic department.
Mm.
So that told me a lot.
Mm.
And those were the basic four, I guess, issues that we pushed.
I'm curious, when you all decided to have this boycott, did any of your white counterparts, ball players, football players, was there anyone that was willing to come kind of go with you all and boycott, or was that a definite, man, we ain't doing that?
They signed the coach had them sign a contract saying that they didn't want us on the team and they wouldn't play with us.
Oh wow.
And I
The
have that. I
coach,
have all that.
oh my
So
goodness, the
and they
coach,
all signed their names, 65 names, their own signature.
oh my goodness.
Now it's funny you mentioned that because one guy, his name is Joe Ehrman. You can look him up. He uh, he played for the Baltimore Colts for 15 years, and you can probably look up his comments because he's one of the few players that reconciled and said that he was wrong and the coach took him in the wrong direction. And he said if he had the chance at that time, he would have boycotted with us.
Wow.
And that's something.
You just think about sometimes there are some white folks that can be with you and really be with you,
Right.
in the program and the the path of which you're going on when they know things are not right. But again, they were very young, and I'm sure that the coach,
Right.
he was the leader, so they just went along with it. And I'm sure their parents,
Exactly.
probably said, "No, you're not going to do that. You got a scholarship. This is what we're going to do." So,
Okay.
but I just thought about. I just was wondering if there was one, but you only one person came through.
Only one. But I'm going to send you after this the piece that it's only about 1 minute, but because we were supposed to speak together at a high school here in Richmond, and his schedule didn't allow him to do it. And I spoke, but he sent a little link, just
Oh,
apologizing and then talking about some of the issues that you just mentioned. So I'm going to send that to you.
oh, wow. That's I read in the book Leveling the Playing Field on how I think as Jim Brown mentioned, every student athlete should read this book to
Right.
show them how they where they are today and how much they have today. House is one of these people that, when he was being recruited, he come back and said, "Mom, they didn't feed me right. They didn't feed me right." And
Right.
he didn't want to go to that school because they didn't feed him right. And you think about that's it might not be a big deal, but it is a big deal
Yes.
because these are athletes that need sustenance. They need to know things, and they need to be treated with respect. And it's hard to believe, but we're kind of going backwards in our environment today. But we're not going to go into that conversation. But anyway, the other thing that Jim Brown mentioned, he says which I have this privilege right now. He says, if you have the privilege, as I have had, to talk to members of the Syracuse Eight, you will hear no sense of bitterness or revenge in their voices as they recount their stories. Instead, you are impressed by a humbleness and a humility that grow out of their appreciation of what they were able to accomplish for others. It is my personal hope that some of those others will read the book, know the names of their benefactors, and I like the fact that he uses the word benefactors because things would not be the same if you guys hadn't done that. And
Correct.
be influenced to follow in their footsteps. You know, one of the things that saddens my heart, to be honest, all that's going on in our communities today, and I just feel like, you know, you have had the opportunity to work with the incarcerated, so you've had the opportunity to have an imprint on others' lives, and I just know that I hope that more men will take on that stance and have that imprint. I know many are doing it today, but we need even more. There's
You're
so
right.
many men that are out there that are going to work every day and coming back home and watching TV. I'm just sorry, fellas. Let's face it. You got to do more. Everybody's got to do their share. Everybody. I
I'm,
don't care what it is, but you got to do something. You know, ask
I,
God, what is it that I need to do?
I'm in total agreement because we as men, whether we're white or black, but particularly black men, need to mentor these young folks. And they don't necessarily have to be teenagers. I'm talking about 20, 30, 40-year olds.
No, yeah, young adults,
Young adults.
absolutely.
And that's something we're doing in my church. We're organizing that. It's funny you say that because we're organizing that as we speak. But it's very important that, and Jim Brown said it, that, you look at the book and, compare it to your life and your athletic history, because most of the young boys and men of this time had some type of athletic career, whether it's football, baseball, no matter what it was, hockey, and you try to parallel the situations with what you're going through in life now,
Mm.
and
So
and and there is a connection.
there's a definite connection, and the thing is, there are pivotal points in people's lives where people have had an impact, and you probably don't even realize and know some of the impact that you've had on different folks. But well, Brad had a lot of impact on a lot of young men too, just by being a coach all those years. But we just know that young people, men and women, need mentors that are authentic. You know, and the one thing, Clarence, you have always been authentic,
Well, thank you. Well, let
always.
me let me also add one of the football players, my roommate, John Gobbo. He was from Bridgeport, Connecticut, and he was kind of a grown man at 17, 18 years old.
Mm.
He had two kids,
Oh
babies
wow.
at that time, and he lived in a public housing project called Father Planning Village in Bridgeport, Connecticut, the second worst public housing uh, in the country. Caprini Green was number one, and Father Planet was number two. Caprini Green was in Chicago, so they tore that down. They eventually tore down Father Planet. But when I went home with him when I was a freshman, he was an adult. He would sit down in his living room, deal with his kids, deal with the woman that was their mother. Everybody would kind of stand in line like the Godfather and come up to him, and he would give them commands or tasks to do in relation to how to pay the bills, how to deal with A, how to deal with B. And I was in awe. I'm sitting there in awe watching this guy. He was like the godfather of the family. He was the patriarch of the family. And everybody was listening to him, what he was saying. And he was saying some very reasonable stuff. So, and I'm from Binghamton, country boy, my Red Sox from Binghamton. So I thought that was a real eye opener. You talk about something that opened your eyes. And from a spiritual perspective, I was really taken back by how mature he was at 18 years old. Uh,
Was he able to finish school?
Now, the ironic piece, he lost his mind.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Because what happened,
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Ben Schwartzwalter and the athletics department, he was a great running back.
I'm sorry.
Everybody,
What name did you just mention?
John Godbolt.
But the name after that, you said Dennis.
No, I said Ben Schwartzwalter, the
Oh,
coach,
Ben Schwartzwalder, the
our
coach. Okay.
coach. He wanted him to run a certain way. He wanted him to run. Now, if you know anything about football, he wanted him to run straight ahead like Larry Zonka. But he was a runner like Gale Sayers. He darted around, and he was strong.
Oh, okay.
So everybody in Connecticut knew that he had a NFL career ahead of him. But because of
Oh,
the athletic department and the way they wanted him to perform, and he was a sharp guy, it beat him down after 2 or 3 years, and mental health got to him, and it just he just wasn't the same individual, and that's probably one of the reasons we all boycotted too, because we saw how organized and together John was his freshman year, and he became a recluse and,
oh.
and just was disheveled. He was always neat, but after about 3 years, he lost it and eventually died. So, and so when you talk about young folks, I always try to emphasize have a plan B. Don't have all your your successes dealing with one thing like football or baseball or basketball. Make sure you have something else, whether it's academic or vocational or whatever, but you have some skills that you can fall back on.
So you all watched John go downhill just by the way he was being treated.
Right.
It just goes to show you, listeners, think about this and what we say to people.
Right.
Like, if you tell somebody every single day that you're not going to be anything, or that you're running wrong, you're running wrong, you're running wrong. I've been telling you to do this. And you keep hearing it. After a while, you start to believe what people are
Right.
saying. That's why. So that being said, Clarence, tell me, during this time, which was, to me, it was monumental because you were just such a young guy. Do you feel that there was a spiritual component that you had within you that was shared, like that helped you to keep moving forward, or did you have bouts of depression? Like, what happened to you
Yeah,
personally?
I had bouts of depression. What happened, and I'll sort of fall back on Jim Brown. Jim Brown came to see us because he heard about the situation, and he stayed with us for about a week at that time because he went out and visited the white players. He visited the coach, and that was unsuccessful. But the night before Jim Brown left, he said, "I'm leaving tomorrow. I'm going back to California, and you guys need to decide what you're going to do. Are you going to continue to boycott, or are you going to do something else?" He said, "I will support you regardless of what you do. So, but I'm going to leave in the morning. When I come back in the morning before I leave, I want to know your answer." So that night we stayed up all night crying, fighting, biting, spitting.
Mm.
But in the morning when he came back, we said we can't let this happen to anybody else.
Oh my gosh.
And so that's what happened. So with that in mind, uh, and I have to tell you that at that time, Syracuse University had the chancellor had a trustee faculty and student commission look at our issues and try to investigated our claims, and also the New York State Human Rights Commission investigated our claims, and the trustee faculty student committee said that there were practices which constitute institutional racism and an act of institutional racism unworthy of a great university. That's a quote unquote. And then the New York State Human Rights Commission investigated our claims and said, quote unquote, chronic racism involved. So all that to say, a year later, the chancellor was fired because Ben Schwartzwater had the chancellor fired. But anyway, that's neither here.
Wow. So wait a minute. That's that's crazy, actually.
Yeah, but that's what happened.
Mm.
So
they made these quotes. And repeat those quotes again, the two of them.
okay, let me think. The faculty, because he had a special faculty student commission
That he had.
to investigate, and they said, quote unquote, the practices engaged by the athletic department constituted institutional racism, quote unquote, and an act of institutional racism unworthy of a great university. This is documented. And the New York State Human Rights Commission said there cited multiple violations. They said multiple violations of chronic racism, quote unquote. So that was uncovered at that time.
And they did nothing about it.
Did nothing about it.
So it had to come out in the light all those many years later.
All those many years later.
And this book came out when? Because now you hear, once the book came out, that's when we began to hear the story.
I'll explain it, but also be mindful that when all this came out and we decided to continue the boycott, there were thousands of letters, hate letters and hate mail towards us. Thousands. And even today, you look at, I'm 77, and you look at the white players that were against us. They're 77. They have money. Some of our supporters have money. So we still have this two-edged sword going on, racism, even at Syracuse University, to the point that one guy said, who I played with, and he gave something like $10 million a year to the university. And they said, if you publish this book in 2006, I will stop giving this $10 million a year.
Oh my goodness.
And we published it, and he stopped.
You're kidding.
Yeah.
He stopped giving $10 million per year to Syracuse University because of this book.
Because of this book.
Leveling the playing field.
The story of the Syracuse Eight. Correct.
Wow. I don't understand. I don't understand how anybody could. I don't understand it. I don't. How people could be that hateful. I just don't know.
Yeah, that hateful. Yeah.
That hateful. I mean, it's mind-boggling. But I don't want to. We can probably close this at this point because we've been on for a while. But I don't want to miss anything that you may have wanted to share. There was something else I wanted to share that I found in the book. I didn't get to read the whole thing, but
well, let me say this: the chancellor called me in 2006 and said, "Come back to the university because we want to apologize to you and give you write this book." This book, she had one of her writers take a sabbatical for a couple of years, research the book, and write it. And, I didn't want to go back to Syracuse again in life. But when she asked Nancy Cantor, who's a chancellor of a school in New York now, and when we came back 36 years later, they gave us the Chancellor's Medal of Extraordinary Courage and just celebrated us and, created that mural in the JMA Dome, and they just did a lot of nice things. So, our coach was good friends with J. Edgar Hoover. So I'm on two lists. I was on the J. Edgar Hoover list for to be arrested. What do you call it? I was on his list. The FBI list has a what do they call them? I forgot what I was called, but I was on that list, and then I was on the list with President Biden, who also received the Extraordinary Courage Medal from Syracuse University. So I was on both lists.
Oh my gosh. Well, I saw that the acknowledgments, and you are to be commended. I'm glad that you're on the good list. but we know you're on the list.
Oh, terrorist. That's right. J. Edgar Hoover had me as a terrorist. I was on the list for FBI list in the late '60s, and the early '70s.
Is a terrorist, along with the other 7 guys.
Right, that's right.
That's amazing.
And the FBI came to their house. They didn't come to my house. I never understood why, but that
Well,
years later,
it's okay. That's all right. Don't worry
but
about
they
it.
came to their house. So it was a tumultuous time.
It was a tumultuous. It was, and I was looking at the acknowledgments, and the Nancy Cantor, the former chancellor, like you said, of Syracuse, whose compassion and courage moved a university to acknowledge past wrongs.
Yeah, that's
To
right.
make it right. I mean, a past wrong to make it right. That's powerful. And there were others here. And then I even saw where what was it? Where was this? Yeah, Reverend Dr. George Moody, who has great books, who I read so much of his, and who served as the director of the Martin Luther King on campus elementary school, where the Syracuse 8 were invited to hold many of their meetings. Dr. Moody
Right.
was an influential
Yes.
advisor. And then you had Dr. Charles V. Willey, professor of sociology, the first African-American professor at Syracuse.
Right.
Charlie V. Willey, Dr. Charles, let me change that. Dr. Charles V. Willey is the author of some 25 books. He taught at Syracuse from 1950 to 74, served as Charles Eliot Professor of Education. Dr. Willey engaged in behind-the-scenes negotiations with the administration to ensure that the Syracuse 8 were treated fairly and that the issues that were raised were taken seriously.
That's the type of support we had, not only from certain people in the administration, but also in the Syracuse city community. They were very close, and they put pictures of us in restaurants and etc. But so we really helped to gather and get the community to think about the same things in terms of civil rights and civil liberties at that time.
I really thank you, Clarence, for coming on my go-to shoe, Faith, Hope, and Love, A Journey Through Loss, because truly that was a loss in part in your life, and it was early loss in part in your life. So I'm so glad to see that you became successful and you had a great career, and not only that, you were able to mentor other young men so that they would be whole, and that your story was now shared with hundreds and thousands of people. So we want to put this book back up here, all of you all, and we all need to be reading. I think we're not reading enough. Leveling the Playing Field, the story of the Syracuse 8, and it's by David Mark. David Mark. Please, you all get this book, read it. It's a great read. It says a whole lot, and I think it's a good time to have this read to remind us of who we are and who we want to become, and not just be the average Joe not doing anything. It's a time to be purposeful in our mission, and each one of us has a mission. So, woo, that's quite a story. You're really quite special. Your mom must have said, "That's my son. That's my son. That's my baby. That's my baby."
All she was concerned about is we graduated with a degree. That's all she was. She didn't care about anything else but.
See, that's a mother. That's a mother. She just wants her son to be educated. That's all.
So I was going to get that degree. So.
Oh, that's great. So, Clarence, again, thank you so much.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate it.
And please tell your lovely wife Evelyn that we love her. That we'll have to have her back on to tell some more stories.
Oh yeah.
Because I think she's going to be writing a book. I don't know if she started it yet, but she needs to write a book.
Yeah, she's a blessed woman. So.
She is. Well, you're a blessed couple.
Thank you.
You really are a blessed couple, and I just thank God for you because, I'll say this. We are. Evelyn's younger, but you, like myself, we're in our 70s, and we are still trying to make a difference. And I just want all the young people to know that y'all got to get moving. Y'all got to get moving and do something.
That's right.
Because people get this new generation. I feel like they're not how can I say, they don't know how to get past the rough side, side of the mountain.
Because they haven't experienced it. They haven't experienced it.
Yeah. See, that's the problem. They haven't.
And it's our job to get them to get used to it and expose them to it.
Exactly.
As best as possible.
As best we can. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you.
We really love you being here. So as we end, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Hit the notification button when Paulie's coming back. Anyway, Clarence, thank you so much.
Thank you.